Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Moon. I'm Vice President of International Sales with the Consumer Technology Association. This has been such a great day at C-Space Storytellers, and I'm thrilled to introduce today's closing session, which is an interview with Mr. Nick Cannon. Nick is a truly multi-hyphenate. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nick is a truly multi-hyphenate. He's the host of America's Got Talent, an entrepreneur, head of Incredible Entertainment, and the creator, host, and an executive producer of MTV's Wild 'N Out. He has also recently been named the Chief Creative Officer of Radio Shack. Today, Nick will reveal how digital media has influenced his brand and introduced career-changing opportunities. Nick will be interviewed by Stephanie Ruhle, an anchor and managing editor for Bloomberg Television, and editor at Stephanie, welcome.
I thought I was here for an audition. I thought it was like my Wild 'N Out audition. So I completely made a big mistake. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I've got to start with people who don't understand what CES is, Computer Electronics Show. How does CES connect to you? This is your 7th time being here.
Right.
And people think of you in the entertainment world. I'm not sure they understand how deep your brand and your business goes.
Right. I think, obviously consumer electronics and entertainment are kind of congruent in a sense where, I remember even a few years ago when I was here, I was launching my tablet. And, I was really excited that I wasn't only available to present content, but I was also able to present a product in which my content could be viewed on. So even in that sense, it's like whether it's an actual device, whether it's an app, to be here and to be a part of, all the curation and all these new ideas that go on, it lends itself to content creation in the process. I mean, even the way we go about it, how we view it, it all kind of makes sense. So to me, it's all one world. I mean, I don't understand why there isn't more entertainers or creators, industry types here.
But when you started your career, did you think about the back end? Did you think about how it's put on, where it's put on, how it's distributed?
I think I did in that sense where I was always a DIY kid. Whether I was a DJ in my high school trying to figure it out, making mixtapes, selling CDs out the trunk of my mom's car, or even, as a stand-up comedian, I think that mindset actually kind of trained me for the career that I have now. Because when you think about it, being a teenager at the Comedy Store on Hollywood, I had to figure out a way to market myself differently. Once I did get the opportunity to perform and write my own material, and on stage you have to be a writer, you have to be a performer, you have to be a director, and then at the same time you have to be a promoter. You have to get out there, sell tickets, invite people, become fans. And this is obviously all before social media and the internet. You had to kind of get out there and let your name and your talent speak for itself and kind of create that groundswell. So that was probably that early mentality of, all right, I want to be more than just an entertainer. I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. And from there, I was blessed with many different opportunities to not only be in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well.
Then speak to how getting yourself out there has changed so much. When you talk about being a teenager and selling mixtapes out of the back of your mom's car, and you look at Wild 'N Out and America's Got Talent, and how young people today can connect and get their content seen, it's a whole new world.
Absolutely. And, to be honest, I was kind of jealous of a lot of these young people and all the tools and essentials that they have to actually bring, their ideas and their talent to the marketplace. I was making videos, I sound old now. I was making videos before YouTube, but
and you walked 10 miles to the Comedy Store.
But that was the thing where, I was just looking for a way to be heard. Now the opportunity to be heard is kind of like, you'll see a kid create a video in his bedroom and gets 20 million views, and it's like, wow, like that was not possible.
But is it that much easier now? Yes, a kid makes a video in his bedroom and it gets 20 million views, but 20 million kids could do that.
Right.
When you were a teenager, there was so much less access and actually so much less competition.
Very true. And
You might not be that funny if you only had YouTube.
yeah, true. And again, like, because the playing field has been leveled, it now your talent definitely has to break through. And I think you even where we spoke a little earlier about even my casting process and how
Wild 'N Out?
Yeah, how I look to find people for Wild 'N Out. It's before it was like, yo, if you had an agent or a manager or you were someone, a comedian that, you know, we heard about, we would then, you know, invite you and hopefully the schedules worked and we might do an audition in New York and we might do one in LA. And this, you know, this was 2004. Today, I literally send out a tweet and say, yo, who's the funniest person on the internet?
You're kidding.
Yeah. And
Has it made your production costs go down significantly?
No, I think there's other things
Oh,
that have made my
ways to spend
production
more
costs go
money?
down
Yeah.
significantly. The lay of the land has. But honestly, I think the process is actually, I feel like we've been able to discover some really great talent. And at the same time, the audience engagement is different. People, like, I feel that's one of the most interactive processes and fun even for myself is finding these new people, because you find their fans are really trying to convince you, oh, you got to watch this video. And I have, you know, 2,000 new followers based off of my one tweet saying, who is this guy?
You're kidding.
Yeah, so just that process of watching all of these interesting fan groups of people that most of us have never heard of, but they've created their own little fan base. And I think there's something really powerful in how people are creating their own communities and then all of those communities coming together and using platforms, the bigger platforms still today like television and radio to still support them, but they start on this groundswell level that actually is more interesting to the audience for the discovery process.
If video killed the radio star, is the internet going to kill traditional platforms like TV?
And I think instead of like killing them, I think it's almost in that sense of where it will morph into and it all becomes one. And I think we've all been trying to figure out the way to work together, because I don't ever believe that television will go away. But I do understand that screens, there's just different types of screens. Like, I think the idea of sitting down in front of your 27-inch, you know, with your family after dinner, that process may not be as popular as it once was. But if I'm watching that same content on my phone, I'm watching it, you know, if you go onto the CES floor, if I'm watching it on my refrigerator, you know, on my bathroom mirror, all of these things, there's still screens. And for those screens, you still have to create content. And if you can and now that we're figuring out how to curate those experiences in those specific areas, I think it all comes together. Like, I believe we're very close to having, you know, depending on the rating systems and all of that, but it's not even going to be about that anymore. It's going to be truly about, it's that fan experience. Like, hey, I want to watch this, this, and this in this order. And if we can figure out how to monetize and get the advertisers to understand this process is actually a better process of viewing, because it's truer and it's more authentic to, hey, this is what I want and this is what I'll view. I don't necessarily want to be dictated towards.
The kids don't watch the Muppets at 8 p.m. on CBS.
They don't?
They don't. Last year, I sat at this very seat and I asked Ryan Seacrest what he thinks is the most valuable social media platform to him.
What did he say?
Well, I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to tell you next.
Oh, that's not fair. I'm one of those people, like, it depends what's going on at the moment. You know, it's funny, like, I've been doing so many things with everything from Snapchat, Twitter, obviously Instagram, but I found
What do you find yourself going to the most?
I was about to say, I found myself now going back to Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, when you think of it being the core of everything and kind of being the mothership of just being able to operate on all of those other platforms, because, you know, and a lot of that is for fun. But when you think of the presence on Facebook and the amount of people who are on Facebook, and when you're really trying to reach people, and even like I said, in my casting process, when I go out and say, hey, I'm looking for, you know, new Wildin' Out girls, or I'm looking for talent on AGT, the response on Facebook and the interaction on Facebook, even though it's not as immediate as Twitter or Snapchat, it really becomes like that's the one that kind of weighs a little bit more.
But because of the immediate response, does it hurt your ability to be a storyteller, a tastemaker? There was a period of time where you could where you could present to the audience and say, this is what's interesting, this is what matters, this is what's good. And now every person with a phone, a tablet, you know, or some sort of device sitting in their mother's basement can come at you and say, I hate this, I love this, and suddenly they become influencers.
Yeah,
you're an influencer for a reason.
Yeah, it puts the true curators to the test, you know, because everybody has an opinion, but when you can support your opinion with facts, usually in true concrete details, and to say the reason why I feel this way, and because I have a history and I'm in this space and I'm respected for this opinion, it goes a long way. So I feel like I wouldn't say that it hurts. It challenges you, you know, and you have to be able to engage and not be afraid to engage with everyone else who has all the opinions in the world. You know, when it comes to, I love the comments, you know, section.
You read the comment section?
I read them all, and I talk back.
That means you're twisted.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
No, but it's interesting because I don't read the comments to get an emotional vibe from it. You know, I would say I'm definitely a believer in if you live for the compliment, you got to die by the criticism. Ooh. But I do it in the sense to where I want to know what people think. I want to know what strikes people, what makes them click, why they say the things that they say. And it's interesting because, like I said, sometimes the comments are more interesting in the content. It's just because you can really see the DNA of a person, the way that they think, and the way, even, you know, some people are there to cause trouble. Yeah. And, you know, and they just want attention.
Yeah.
And then you see how others deal with them who are really passionate about the subject. I mean, everything from, you know, there was quite a bit of controversy created around the film that I just did with Spike Lee called Chirac. And to watch Spike, and both myself and Spike would engage with people, you know, and some people were really passionate about certain things, and some people were really supportive of the movement and supportive of the name, and some people hated the name but loved the idea that we were talking about it. And through that process, you got to see, all right, well, these are the people that are going to go see this film. These are the people that probably never see this film, but they just have an opinion about it and want to be heard. These are the people who actually feel like there's an issue in their community and want something to be done. And you have to deal with those people in different ways, but it allows you to really connect and have that connection. And I feel like a lot of people in the entertainment community are a little scared to deal with people, because sometimes you're gonna get that reality kicking, like, ooh, maybe that wasn't what I thought it was. But the value in trending topics and conversation is second to none, just because you're getting a true, authentic response, and an immediate, true, authentic response.
Then what is success? Is success engaging people, good or bad, or affecting people, or is success gaining fans? So when you look at this movie, for example,
right?
When you look and you wake up and say, my God, I have thousands of tweets, most of them are bad, but I have thousands of tweets out there. Is it a positive to have that kind of, that you're creating so much noise? Does the noise have to be good in order for it to be a success?
It's funny. I always say, and I was talking about this last night, but when I refer to Spike, I say he's a great conductor of noise. And when you say what is success, it all depends on where you're actually, what you're trying to accomplish. If you're just trying to gain awareness and get people to pay attention sometimes, long as we create the conversation, you don't have to agree with me. That's what great art is about. So we can sit here and discuss it and debate it, and, you know, I see it from this angle, you see it from this angle, but at least we're having the discussion. That's true success in that form. Now, when you're actually trying to get people to like you or purchase something, or, you know, then I feel like, all right, now you have to evaluate how you approach it, just based off, because yes, we all want to be liked, and we all want to sell our product and be likable and have good Q scores and all those things. So you have to figure out how to position it. And as an artist, sometimes, I always say, I like to lead by example, but I don't consider myself a role model, because a role is something you play. And I feel like in this day and age, you want to be real. So to be a real model or to be a real person is probably the best thing you can do. But by being that real person, sometimes, you're going to gain fans and you're going to lose fans. But at the core, if you have the bird's eye view, ultimately, if you look at the trajectory of the entire process, you're probably going to be all right.
Is this the ultimate time to be an artist? Because years ago, all artists could do was get on stage and perform and walk off stage. Now, you are a real stakeholder. You own what you do.
Yeah, it depends how you look at it, because some people aren't built for that. Those days of some of our most renowned and treasured artists are just that. You know what I mean? They don't need to be involved in business. They don't need to, they're artists. And you find, some of the most fascinating, talented people don't operate well in a business setting.
But some are making mistakes, because now everybody wants to be a business person. Everybody wants to be a brand.
Right. And that's it, you know what I mean? Like, people always say, oh man, Nick Cannon, you're the hardest working man in showbiz. Like, I want to be the smartest working man in showbiz. I don't want to necessarily always be the business guy. Like, I just want to be able to do what I love in a passionate sense, be respected for my art, but then at the same time, figure out a way to, monetize and be able to provide for my family just like anyone else. So, it's, I just say it in a sense, I don't think it's for everyone. I think, there's a lot of entertainment and things and entertainers that I grew up with that I just love them purely for their artistry. And then there's some people that, I don't really respect it's not my cup of tea when it comes to what they're doing, but you have to respect their business acumen. So it goes both ways. I mean, and
are there artists or entertainers that you look at? In the sports world, athletes look to Magic Johnson.
Yeah,
and say,
I look to Magic Johnson.
Are there artists, celebrities, athletes that you look at and see how they've converted from being performers to being stakeholders, and you look to them?
100%. I mean, it's the names, it's the ordinary list that we all know. With a few there, like I tend to go back a little further than most, but obviously when you think of, the Diddy's and the Jay-Z's, and of course those guys have been able to position themselves and market themselves in a way that they've been able to transcend the hip hop culture and then take hip hop culture and spread it, to the masses and on many different levels. But I would even then go back to people that I would want to pattern my career after, like the Bob Hopes of the world. When you think Bob Hope would do everything from host the Oscars to be in a comedy skit in a commercial, like he was a great radio man. He was, a philanthropist and a super intelligent producer and businessman that a lot of people didn't even know. So, like, and then the Sinatras of the world. And, it's like these guys knew how to get on stage and kind of be the master of ceremonies, but at the same time, they were phenomenal businessmen and women as well.
In doing that, you're taking a lot more risk.
You have
If you say, I'm a performer. There you go. If you say, I'm a performer, I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to do my thing and you'll pay me for this. That's one level of risk.
Right.
But to actually become a business person, I mean, you mentioned Jay-Z. Sure, title isn't going to take him down, but here he is in a business that's got a lot of risk around it.
Yeah.
There used to be a time where artists could simply endorse a product and your face, your name would buy you into a business. Now, you're taking real risks. Are you prepared to do that?
100%. I mean, that's the beauty of it all. And to be able to fall and get back up shows the strength of a businessman. You want to take those risks, with great risk come great reward. So I believe that's why it's almost we have an advantage in that sense of being able to be entertainers and respected for our curation, because everything's not gonna stick. I mean, if you think about, Dr. Dre is a prime example to where you know, if you look at his career, there was lots of ups and downs, but when they sit back and talk about it, they're going to talk about NWA, they're going to talk about Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Beats. And all of those are all wins.
They worked out pretty well.
You know, but there was a lot of artists that didn't connect in between there. There was a lot of ideas. You know, I remember Jimmy Iovine was telling me the first thing that Dre came and said he wanted to do sneakers. He was like, nobody wants to wear no Dr. Dre sneakers. He's like, how about instead of sneakers, we do speakers? You know, so it's like, it's those ideas of like, yeah, the first idea may not be the best idea, but we'll come up with it and we'll get to that space.
Why do you think partnering with Radio Shack is the best idea? This is a store that has faced bankruptcy, has been knocking on the door of bankruptcy over and over. Yeah. Storefronts have closed down. Why does it make sense for you?
You know what? So many reasons. But at the core, I have an affinity for the brand, but that's probably my personal.
When you say an affinity for the brand, is that a nostalgic affinity? Because have you actually been in one?
Of course. Haven't you?
I did 25 years ago to get a remote control car, and I'm pretty sure I never went back.
Now let me tell you, and we still have remote control cars, the new versions. No, I'll tell you a couple reasons, because there's actually my affinity for it and the actual business play. I'm still trying to figure out which one actually makes the most sense.
A new name. Maybe like Drone Zone.
No, because we're bringing the radio back to Radio Shack. You got to understand, even the sense of when it comes to music and the idea of how there's not a place for people to actually go and feel a real connection.
Because they don't pay for it anymore.
But that's not true. But the experience of music is probably greater than it's ever been, because we didn't walk around with 10,000 songs in our pocket before. And this generation of doers and makers and the DIY, they're there. They just don't know that there's a brick and mortar place that you can actually expand your ideas. And that's why I say I have an affinity for the brand, because at 8 years old, my grandfather was the minister of music at a church, and he passed away, and he left me all of this music equipment that came from Radio Shack that I did not know how to hook up, how to work, or anything.
No way.
And I had to walk to the local Radio Shack. It was like a half a mile away. And the clerk in there kind of taught me everything from like RCA jacks to how to set this stuff up. So I would go there daily to set up my own personal studio at like 8 to 10 years old.
No way.
Place I bought my first microphone, bought my first mixer, and it was just, and for that to be so embedded in my history, as well as knowing that there's still 2,000 stores across the country in these communities that like the communities in which I grew up, where you can go in and not only learn something, but be able to be creative. And it's a place for creatives, but it just hasn't been presented that way.
Do you want to bring that back? Because I don't
100%.
I think people think of it as a place,
to get gadgets and batteries, and we still have those too. But when you think about the idea, it's like the idea is like bringing that fun into Radio Shack, and I always say like amplifying it, and that's what I'm saying. You want to embrace that name. Yeah, you want to embrace that idea of radio, because everybody thinks the Apple Store is cool, but when you think about it, the same things are going on in Radio Shack, if not cooler, because it's more for the people who are doers and makers and real creators,
product.
And it's all affordable and the value. So as we launch, like I said, I've had a great deal of success in consumer electronics over the last 5 years. So now I'm trying to bring that same business back to Radio Shack with my incredible branding. But then at the same time, I'm doing everything from curating and DJing the music in every store. Like when you go on the Radio Shack, you should hear the hot hits. You should hear the songs that are playing everywhere. So we're doing that I'm bringing all of the artists and DJs, some of the people from the Afro Jacks to the, all these people that, are friends of mine, to the store and to the process, and making it that place that is cool. And not only can you get your phone there, you can also get a drone there. You can get when you got a remote control car years ago, now everybody's going there to get drones. So it's like, it's things like that it's there, it's cool, it's fun. It just has to be positioned in that way. So we put in a new cool skin on the store and the way we present it. And what I was saying, my choice in making that business decision to be a part of it seems like a wise choice, because when you deal with a company who's kind of under a reboot, as we should say, you can only go up from there. And I feel like I would use my energies to go in and say, hey, let's do that. We're starting from scratch. We're doing this. We're doing that. And
it could go down.
Nah, we're going up. We have to, because that's when you
But
start
so
from down. There's only place you can go is up.
True. But do you look at Apple and think about the Apple experience, which is incredible, but it is very expensive. It is aspirational.
Yeah.
Do you hope to create that on an affordable level for communities?
And I feel like I've done that before on many different levels. And I think middle America is always going to be more welcoming to value, affordability. As much as we want to say, yeah, this is aspirational and this is cool, that's kind of, it's in a glass tower. You kind of want to see it, but you don't necessarily need it in that sense. And to me, that idea of bringing curation and bringing the idea of what cool is doesn't necessarily have to be exclusivity. You know, I think those days are kind of done, where because of social media and accessibility to so many different things, that it's almost about how you created it and how you make it your own. So yeah, everybody can have this $400 headphone, or everybody can have this, you know, $600 phone, but what is the substance that puts it all together? So I'd rather give you something for, you know, a tenth of the price, but you can still do so many different things with it and customize it in your own way that it actually speaks to your own DNA. And then now you're walking around with your head high saying, not only is mine cool, but I paid way less for it. And I've always, you know, in all the products that I've created, I've always positioned that. And even when it comes to like my entertainment, it's always like, I want to be family friendly. I want to be a way that everybody can embrace it. I don't necessarily need to be the guy that's perceived as super cool. It's like, I'd rather just be the guy that's, hey, yeah, everybody can get along with him. Everybody can.
Well, that makes you super cool.
Ultimately. So as I always say, I think it was a thing, it was a statement I made one time. It was like, the one thing I learned is how cool I became when I stopped caring about being cool.
Really?
You know, it's like...
Well, tell me, what does incredible mean? What does it represent? You have the app out. What message do you want to put out there?
Empowerment. I've always been one about youth empowerment. You know, I've always loved being able to be the youngest to do this, or one of the first to do this, and when it comes to everything that I've been able to build with the help of, you know, people who've always looked out for me, like Nickelodeon or Viacom, just people giving me opportunities at such a young age that I started, and once I got into the position, I wanted to do the same thing for others, and especially, you know, people from the communities in which I came, and in the inner cities, in the low-income environments, to be able to say, you know what, this is, someone helped me, you know what I mean? Too much is given, much is required, you know, and I feel like I've been blessed, and now it's time for me to be a blessing. So to be able to create things like apps, or even just, I take so much pride in discovering new talent. I mean, when you think about the type of people that, you know, broke out on, you know, the show that I created, Wild 'N Out, you know, that was the first place people saw Cat Williams, Kevin Hart, you know, new people like Pete Davidson, who's on SNL now. Like, all of these people started out with me, and friends and people that I've been able to help along the way. I take a great pride in that. So I love that process. So if I can continue that process, whether it's in the content in which I create or the artists that I manage, it's just creating that and having a digital component or an app to actually help that process is what I wanted to create. And that's why I built the Incredible app. So we're all about empowerment, and I would say specifically youth empowerment, but empowerment in general.
Is there too much content out there, though? We talk about putting it out there and connecting and finding the audience.
It's a lot out there.
At this point, there's so much. Will there be a year, a moment in time where we really start to curate and say, this matters? Yeah,
it goes back to what I was saying. It challenges the true tastemakers and the true curators, you know, and I feel like we've been using that term quite a bit and recently, just because the amount of content that is out there, and they always say content is king. And I remember in the last session I was
we didn't do anything before this.
The last time.
No,
earlier I was speaking about the importance of data what people and how data and authenticity play into what content people are watching. Because
but does it hurt art, right? Everyone with the data, the programmatic ad
it doesn't.
buying,
That's what I'm saying. I feel like
artist.
there's
you're an artist.
Yeah, but there's an equation that actually allows you to enhance your art, and that's why I say when you think about when creating content or you're creating art, if you can understand what that person really wants from you, and
but
it actually,
you're an artist. Okay, let me just take you back, right?
Take me back.
Take you back. Isn't there an argument to be made that artists should be there to surprise and inspire us? And there's a risk right now that we have become so dependent on data and social media response that before an artist sets foot on a stage, he needs to know, well, they like me in light magenta with green shoes, and I should laugh at a third level higher. I mean, at some point, you should be the one to surprise and inspire.
Well, that's
and there's a risk that is going away because of data.
That's what I went back to saying. You have to, it challenges the true curators and the true tastemakers, because to know all of this information and still stand firm in your art is a beautiful thing. So I consider myself a perfect example. Like, I see the analytics, I see what people say, but I still do and say what I choose to. I have the publicists, the agents, and all the people say, you probably shouldn't tweet that, or you probably shouldn't Instagram late at night. You probably shouldn't, all those things. I hear all of that, and I understand why those things make sense. But as an artist, I'm still going to make that choice to do what I want to do. And actually, you're able to stand firm. You shouldn't be ignorant as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't turn a blind eye to data because I'm an artist. You should embrace everything that it is. And now I'm an educated artist to where I know what people want, but I'm still going to give you what I feel you need.
Have you lost your privacy?
Yeah, but I don't know how important that is. I understand, like, if we're talking about immediate privacy, like, I don't want to go to the bathroom and it be on camera. You don't want that. But in this business, once you enter the entertainment business, you sign up to lose your privacy. Like, and that's the difference between where some artists just rather remain artists and be private, and that's very important to them. And, I respect that. But to me, when we're in this business, especially where we are today, everything is about connecting and really wanting to get to know. How important is privacy, especially if you don't have anything to hide?
Well, your pride. I mean, I know we're out of time, but the comparison I would draw, 25 years ago, Charles Barkley said, I don't need to be an example. I don't need to have your kids like me. I don't need to,
He didn't. He was dunking basketballs.
He said, all I need to do is dunk basketballs. And then on the other side, we live in a Kardashian nation where Kris Jenner would sell you anything at any point and have a camera right there in the bathroom or the delivery room.
You know what?
Where's the line?
It all depends. It's what you're here to deliver.
What are you here to deliver?
I'm here to, ultimately, I believe I'm here to bring joy to people, however I can do it, to inspire, to bring joy, and ultimately just to make people smile. And if that's in this room, if that's millions at home watching, however it works, I feel like that's what it is. And there's some people that, hey, I'm here to make money. I want to make money and I will sell every aspect of my personal life. That's good for them. There's people who say, I just want to be an artist. I don't care about the money. I just want to deliver my passion. And that's good for them as well. I feel like, to me, I understand there's a happy medium. And at times, I'm going to do something strictly from an artistic sensibility. And then sometimes I'm going to make a business play. And I feel like we all do that. That's how we embrace art. And that's the beauty of having the choices, of technology giving us the choices. That when we feel like watching an artistic film on our phone late at night, we'll do that. Or when we feel like tuning in to NBC and watching America's Got Talent with everybody else, I'll do that as well. It's like, so the fact that we didn't have that before, everything was dictated to us before. We had 3 channels we had to choose from, and we watched that. Now we can make the decisions, and we've evolved in a way that we can embrace our entertainment the way we want to.
What an amazing guy.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
I know, right?